Okay guys, we're here again. Right now we're focusing on leg attacks. We're focusing on submissions of the legs, leg entanglements, different positions and scenarios. Alright, but again, generally focusing on finishing from these leg attacking options. Now, we're going to have a look at entering a very powerful knee lock, an inside heel hook from again our basic, alright, Ashi Garami or single leg X scenario. Okay. There's a lot of very common reactions that occur from here. We've talked about some finishing scenarios on the leg itself. And now we're going to have a look at transitioning to another control from, again, another common reaction. Generally speaking, once we find control of the leg and we're trying to finish with our straight ankle lock, our partner's going to defend in one of two ways. Right? One of the common options, particularly if you're able to keep the person here, is for them to clear your leg and start moving to your upper body. What we're going to do is we're going to actually use this opportunity to attack this secondary leg. For Lucas to move, he must take that leg off the mat and bend his knee so he has some way of moving himself around. So he pushes into the mat with that leg and starts moving around. And as he does that, whether he lifts his hips or not, he creates space underneath this leg for me to attack. Now we worked on an option before where we instead attack the same leg. What we're going to focus on this time is we're going to belly our chest down into the mat the same way, but we're actually going to focus on repositioning our legs to control this hip. Okay? So I post my head on the mat as I turn my head down into the ground. And what I'm going to do here, right, and I do generally want to keep my knee on the outside of his body because again, if I put my knee on the inside of his body, I have to be careful of him trying to come up to the back position. Now, it's not the end of the world. I can still get to this scenario from here. But what I'm going to do is as I post my head on the mat, I'm actually going to free my far leg here. Okay? So I'm here like this. I free my far leg and I step up over the top of his hip. Once it's over the top of his hip, I'm going to lock a triangle, right, on my shin. And now I have the control of both legs, right? And this is a very awesome control. Right, because again, I'm able to control both of Lucas's legs, right? And it's hard for him to change position until he's able to retrieve one of his legs, and then he can try to move out of position. Okay. Now, what we're going to focus on attacking here is again another very powerful heel hook attacking option on the leg that's inside my legs. Okay. So I can stay on the top position here like this, which is actually very powerful because again, we add our body weight slightly more, or I can bring him all the way into this position here where I'm seated on my butt. And again, I have access to his legs in the way I want to attack. So what we're going to look at doing is again, we're going to clear this leg out of position. So we have full access to this ankle and heel, and then we're going to set up our heel hook attack from there. So what we're going to do here is pass the leg out of the way, both my hands go underneath, and I clear it all the way to the opposite hip. And now I have full access to this leg here. Okay, again, there's a few ways I can use my leg. I can pinch my knees together like this, or I can lock a triangle on his leg here like this. Now what I'm going to do here is again, I'm going to create the same control on his heel that we talked about before in our other heel hook option. I'm going to use my elbow over his toes. And I'm going to drive my elbow deep, okay, on his toes here like this. So again, that blade sharp portion of our forearm comes onto the heel here like this. Once we have this very powerful control of the heel, we can add our secondary hand. But again, generally speaking, the more we can pin or control his body with our body weight, the more likely we're able to damage him. So I drive my weight on top of the foot and I pin the foot down into the mat. Now from here, whether I have one or two legs, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start lifting my hip in the same way we talked about before. I'm going to pull my wrist to my chin, and at the same time I'm going to drive my hips in the opposite direction. The heel is coming towards me, and I'm driving my legs and my hip away from me. I now have a very, very powerful attack on his knee. And again, there's a few variations we can have with our legs. We can have our knees together, which creates even more pressure on the knee, or we can stay tight with this triangle here, nice and strong over his thigh. as we turn our knees in this direction, we pull, right, the wrist to our chin to create that, again, braking scenario on his knee. And again, particularly in this inside position, you're going to find much more pressure on the knee, but there is potential for somebody that has a very flexible knee for them to feel it in their ankle first instead. Now again, we have the option of finishing in that scenario, or we have the option of finishing in this scenario instead. As we find the control, we're able to go straight to the leg here instead, find the heel and stay on the top position like this. And then all we're going to do from here is, again, exactly the same situation. Pulling the heel to our chin as we drive our hips actually down into the floor, into the knee this time. All right? And we're able to finish a very powerful inside heel hook attack from our standard single leg X or Ashi Garami position.